Hello, everyone.
All right. All right, we are going to go ahead and start our post-race media availabilities. We are now joined by Hendrick Motorsports' Jeff Gordon. If you have a question for Jeff, please raise your hand and we'll get a mic over to you. We'll start right up here with Robert.
Rob T. Johnson from the podiumfinish.net. Jeff, congratulations on the 2014's victory. I know you were pretty confident about the team's chances when we talked earlier, but how gratifying is it to see the 24 dominating the road courses again?
Yeah, no, I mean, what a weekend they put together, and just the race car that Rudy and the guys brought, and then the way that William drove it. I mean, just watching him qualify, how smooth he was, and same thing throughout the race. Just seemed to put the car in all the right places, and I never saw him make a mistake, which is what it was going to take to win today in those closing laps, because Bell had a faster car with the fresher tires, and in any big lockup into a corner, I think that it would have been a different outcome. So a lot of credit to William in doing that great job, but it takes the whole team, the pit crew, everybody. So they're truly on quite a run here to start this season off, and can't wait to see where they take it next.
Go ahead.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Jeff, how do you feel about the development of William? I mean, this is a guy, when you look at his career, he's such a quick study. I mean, he starts and he finds success pretty quick. Now he's finding maybe a little bit of domination. I mean, you look what he did today. Can you talk about how you feel about his progression? And, he's getting to the point now where he's the top winner at Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Certainly when you look at history and some of the best throughout the years, certainly since I've been a part of NASCAR, you just don't see somebody with this progression or this path to succeed at this level the way that he is. Yet he's defying all of that, and honestly, it's making us look at young up and coming drivers that might be the next stars. Because you do have to, even though we got a young lineup, you do have to be thinking about that and planning for it, and it makes you, makes you kind of look at what's out there, what are options, what does sim racing mean, and what do guys that maybe don't get into cars at 5 and 6 years old, what are they capable of, and that's all due because of what we've seen with William and how he's, I will say that he makes up for the lack of experience, that he had prior to coming to the Cup Series through his the way he focuses, the way he preps, the effort he puts in. So I still think that don't discount, what he's done to get here, because it's not always the stuff that's just on track. There's a lot more to it, and that's what he's proven is working to get him to the top right now in this series.
Did that 24 out front and that kind of domination on a road course bring back anything from your past performances? I was thinking about Watkins Glen. That day you just kind of had the perfect day and ground everybody up. Any of those memories? I mean,
yeah, a little bit, but we did it with better brakes and better cars and better a lot of other things too. I do think that when you find a combination, with the whole team, then magical things happen, and I feel like that's sort of what we had. But the cars are all so equal now. It's so hard, much harder to find an advantage with your car and your setup. So I think that to me is what makes this even more impressive.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Once again, you find yourself with the bitter and the sweet. You were, it's sweet with the win with William, but you bitter with Bowman. You were out there kind of pumping him up a little bit. He raced a good race, as you told him, but what was going through your mind and talking to him and his thoughts?
Yeah, well, let me go back. Yesterday was huge, right? Because I remember sitting on the pit box with Rick at Watkins Glen last year during an Xfinity race, and I think we dominated that race and didn't get the win. And I remember Rick hearing over the loudspeaker how Hendrick Motorsports had never won an Xfinity race on a road course. And I remember the look in his eye and how fired up he was. And I'm quite certain that day is when we started adding more races to our Xfinity program. And also with the 17, you know, how special that number is. So that was truly special. And what was it? Oh, and Bowman, yeah. I mean, you know, when Bowman gets on a roll and he gets his confidence up, I mean, there's no telling what they're capable of doing. So I'm really happy for them, 2 top 5s in a row. And you know, they'd had a couple rough weeks, so they needed this. And Hendrick Motorsports is tough, right? I mean, you're 4 of the top drivers and teams out there, and there's a lot of pressure on you. And if you're winning, then there's pressure to continue. And when you're not, you know, winning, or you're not, you know, at the same level as your teammates, there's a ton of pressure, you know, that you got to get there. So I'm proud of him and Blake, the way that they've been working hard together to get some good finishes. And now I can't wait to see what they do next as well.
Let's go up here to Zach.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Jeff, congratulations on this. From your perspective, what do you feel like is something that we can take away from this first road course race of 2024? Obviously, you and the 24 and the 48 had a lot of speed here, but the Toyotas were right there. Bell was really closing late. What can we take away from what we saw today?
I honestly, even though the 24 got the pole, I really thought it was going to be a Toyota-dominated race. We're seeing they've got a lot of speed. And you know, it's one thing when one car has speed. It's another thing when a group of them have speed. That tells you a lot about what they have and what they're bringing to the racetrack. So it's certainly on our radar in a big way. It also, to me, is that much more impressive of what the 24 and the 48 were able to do today. I thought the 9 had great speed too. Please don't get me started on track limits and my thoughts and feelings on that and how that needs to be policed, but I'll save that for another day. You guys can argue that if you want in the media. And even the 5 I thought had a solid car, and you know, with the spin and having to let the whole field go by, you just can't make that up when the race flows the way it did. There just weren't a lot of, which is kind of surprising. We normally at this place see cautions, and you know, once you get a couple of those random cautions, especially in the late stages, then it just gets wild and crazy down into turn 1. So and maybe the restart zone helped a little bit with that on the stage breaks, but yeah, it was, you know, you just couldn't make up time. I thought all 4 of our cars had good speed, but you know, the Bell at the end had the speed. They played a pretty good strategy. I mean, I think, you know, I'd actually heard some of our guys talking about that strategy of staying out and just kind of doing a 2-stopper earlier, and didn't end up going that route. So we were all anxious to see how it worked out for Christopher. I mean, I think he had a fast car all day, but certainly with the fresher tires at the end, it showed how much that was really mattering as well, along with a good car.
Do we have any final questions for Jeff? We'll go to Chris Knight.
ChrisKnightGetchins.com. Jeff, to follow up on Jerry's question, the strategy that the 48 team did with pitting a lap before everybody else did propelled Bowman 2 spots, and he was able to come out behind William. Were you impressed with that strategy? I mean, it almost kind of worked for him, other than the balance went away there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I want to dissect it and dive into it a little bit more with Blake and the team. You know, do some of that on the flight home or when I leave here, as well as, you know, tomorrow in our debrief. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was the right call, but at the same time they were a little bit short on fuel. So I don't know if they didn't get it full or they were just using more than they anticipated. But you know, it was going to be really, really tight for them, even if they could have held off Gibbs and Bell. But as soon as those guys got by them, they started saving. And you know, so yeah, I don't want to comment too much on it until I get a little bit more of the information from those guys. But I mean, getting a top 5 I think was huge, and it was a good call to obviously get the track position. And who knows, that may have helped the 24 as well, right? Because they had to get by the 48, and you know, that takes a little bit of time to do that.
I mean, it was Bowman's 4th consecutive top 5 and 5th top 10 overall here, so there's something about this place in Bowman.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is one of those guys where the bigger the challenge, it seems like the better he does. So I'm gonna leave here and try to find more ways to really challenge him even more. You know, he's a great race car driver, and it just takes the whole combination to get the I mean, they didn't qualify well, but they had a good car, it seemed like, all weekend, and I think his confidence in the car, especially once they dropped the green flag, it showed, and Blake called a good race. Yeah.
All right, Jeff, thanks for the time and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.